Good morning. My name is Anatoliana Chalisova, and this is Patriots Must Rise. As you have probably figured out, the hurricanes on the East Coast and the lack of FEMA response due to how the Biden-Harris administration has distributed taxpayers' money, stolen money, to every country that they feel fit, except for America, has made America very angry, to the point that this might actually be the straw that breaks the camel's back. It might actually be the shot across the bow, the proverbial shot across the bow, that sends us into a civil war. Because if they install Harris, after how the federal government has actually responded to help our brothers and sisters, there will not be any quarter given to any federal agent, anybody in a U.S. uniform. It will be a bloodbath. I had Secret Service come to my front door to warn me to stop talking in ways that incite violence in America. Well, just talking common sense really doesn't seem like it should be considered inciting violence in America, unless we are actually in some kind of tyrannical government and didn't realize it. But of course we're in a tyrannical government. Biden wasn't elected. And then we've got Harris, who the Democrat Party is saying, because the elected officials, who are already elected, okay, and most of us don't believe that they were elected fairly, because Democrats never avoid cheating in an election, all said that this is our person. This overused stale tampon that's already sitting in the vice president's seat after dropping out of the election in 2020 because the Democrat Party did not see fit to move her further in the primaries. In other words, she was literally thrown away. And yet now she's the nominee for the presidency of the United States. Nobody can figure that out, except for the fact that they're pushing an agenda to put the first black female into the White House. Well, let me remind you how bad the DEI hire of Barack Obama was. Okay? Let me remind you about the several stages of treason that man went through just to stay popular with the far left. And committed treason against the American people, the American military, and the free world on multiple occasions. Do we really want to go back to that? But no. The left is running on a campaign to reinstate Roe versus Wade, as if that is the only platform they have. They're not talking anything about election integrity because they don't want election integrity. They're the ones that cheat. They're not talking anything about protecting our children in the classroom because their people are the pedophiles. Then we have Tampon Tim. Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota and the man that put women's tampons into a boy's bathroom. Not only is it a total joke to have this pedophile on the ballot, everything about who he says he is has proven to be a lie. But we can go further into how Scamala has lied about who she is too. He's stolen valor on multiple occasions. He's deserted post on multiple occasions. Somehow he avoided getting called out onto a carpet and being dishonorably discharged. I honestly don't believe that that's true. I believe somehow it's being covered up. But
sorry guys, I went too far.
This is who excuse me. But this is who the vice president would be if we elected Scamala and Tampon Tim. Now let's talk about the record of Scamala. She starts out her career by failing the United States bar exam, only barely passing the California state bar exam. Big difference. Yet the mainstream press is saying that Donald Trump is lying about the fact that she failed the United States bar exam. The California bar exam, the California state bar exam, is historically the lowest standard that a lawyer could ever have to pass the test. And she barely passed. Yet she slept her way to the top. And that's basically how she got into the White House. Nothing about merit has ever been in the portfolio of Kamala Harris or Tim Walz. Yet we're supposed to believe that this is going to be good leadership for America. We're seeing a prime example of how Harris would actually govern with the reaction of the hurricanes. Okay? People are being arrested for trying to help their brothers and sisters, their neighbors. Okay, people with valid pilot's licenses and training for search and rescue are being arrested because it looks bad for the Biden regime. Yet, at the same time, the Biden regime doesn't seem to understand that the fact that people have to go out and help their neighbor because the federal government is too damn broke. And they're not broke. They have the money. It's just that we're not going to help you. We're not going to help you who belong to a conservative state and didn't vote for me. We're only going to vote for the people, or we're going to only help the people that might actually vote for me because I brought them in illegally. We will replace you. Sound familiar? If you look at the map, the only question in your mind should be, how come they didn't do this sooner? Well, they didn't do this sooner because a hurricane hadn't hit yet. I don't know if they have the technology. There's some people that actually speculate that the Maui fires a year or two ago was actually a government weapon mounted on a satellite somehow. I don't know about that. And I try to avoid the conspiracies. I just present the facts that I have and let you guys do the research. That's why I avoid taking other people's clips and inserting it into the podcast, because I want you to do the work.
I can heal.
My audience isn't a bunch of libtards. In fact, the people that were libtards before they found me have actually thanked me for setting them straight. For the people that have stuck around that were on the left, welcome to the fight. All right. So there is speculation that maybe they caused these hurricanes. Like I said, I don't want to get into that. However, I do want to pose the question, why is it always November when we have the elections? Why is it always storm season? Why is it always the cold and flu season? Which, by the way, every major pandemic for the last 120 years has fallen on a 4-year cycle ending on the general election of the United States of America. Every major global pandemic. That's a basic Google search. With that said, I don't believe in coincidences. And I do believe that the most evil people on the planet call themselves Democrat. They're the only ones I know that would call murder in the first degree female health care. Yet at the same time, they were also the only ones I know that didn't see the logic in conservatives fighting back with the rejection of the vaccine by yelling, "My body, my choice." Ironically, the same stupid chant that pro-choice activists yell during their rallies. But conservatives were considered evil because they did not want the government to have the freedom and the right to tell us how to do and what to do with our body. With the case of abortion, it has nothing to do with what the woman wants to do with her body. Roe versus Wade was actually ruled on a woman's right to privacy, not a woman's right to murder. It was a bad decision, poorly written by a female activist that really should never have had the right to sit on the Supreme Court, that literally destroyed hundreds of thousands of families along the way with her activism. But the left doesn't want to talk about that, because they bought into what industry has convinced feminists is their right to murder their own child. Okay, if a woman has a right to murder her own child because of the fact that she wants to be a whore, which is basically what they're saying. I want the right to sleep around on my husband and not get everything taken away from me in the divorce. The man should have the right to make you disappear and never divorce you. Maybe we should call it retroactive abortion. I mean, after all, you were born. At some point, you took a sentient stand on our planet. So if the guy doesn't have a right to say whether or not that child lives or dies, when it happens to be his child too, maybe the death penalty should be the only punishment desirable for those that are willing to commit murder one compounded by conspiracy to commit murder, which is technically exactly what the act of going into an abortion clinic and talking to a doctor about how I'm going to murder my child actually is. It's just that the DA is so terrified of pressing charges on this because it's so politically charged. If I was a prosecuting attorney, not only would I run with it, I would make an example of both the woman and every member of the staff of the abortion clinic that she went to. They would all be charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit. But that's just me. Look, guys, the election that's on the table right now has only one or two, obviously, outcomes. Donald Trump gets elected, and the left pushes into a civil war. Kamala Harris gets installed, and conservatives push into a civil war. That's where we're at. That's what is going to happen, no matter what. They know it. And this is actually what I believe the deep state is trying to push for. I'm not sure what the motive is. I think that the full-fledged, on-the-ground civil war with politicians being executed at every corner, the deep state is hoping would actually bring in American allies to help stop the fighting and eventually move toward a one-world government. That is one conspiracy that I actually do think credible. And I do believe that we are at that point. I think it started with the installment of Barack Obama. Up until Joe Biden, the worst president in American history. Second only to Jimmy Carter. And I think the installment of Joe Biden was just the catalyst for what is going to come. So keep your head on a swivel, because it's not going to be pretty. It really isn't. All right. That's what I have for today. My name is Anatoly Anatolisova. This is Patriots Must Rise. Please like, subscribe, live free, die well. But before you go, we are completely crowdfunded. At this point, there is a QR code in the upper corner. Please scan it. It takes you to a gateway to donate. We would really appreciate it. Peace out.